It is the beginning of week 4, the last week of the class, Friday through Wednesday. So I know you're excited. Um, Again, it's a pretty straightforward course. What I want you to get out of this is a couple things. One is assessment often comes at the end. Teachers plan a unit, they plan their lessons, and the last thing they do is write a test. And when I went to Carolina and graduated with an archaeology degree, I then was a special student. This is before they had lateral entry, and actually went back to Carolina for a year as a special student, a non-degree, and earned my teaching license. And in our methods course, or our course there, we actually had to design the test first. And then from that, you would know what all the knowledge, the skills, um, the prerequisite skills, the thinking level that students would need to be um, accomplished at in order to do well on the test. Um, and so one of the things I want you to get is this, is that assessment is not the last thing you think of. Assessment truly is important because it's used as formative and summative. It gives you a true, if you use it well, a true picture of where your students are in moving from point A to point B. It also tells you what is point B and if you've gotten there and how well successfully you've gotten there. So assessment, some teachers use it very well, some teachers do not. Some think it's just giving grades. Some give grades and no feedback. So there's a lot to assessment. And as an administrator, it is a powerful tool that you can use to work with teachers. Weak teachers assess poorly. And typically, teachers that assess poorly teach poorly. However, that's not always true. And what I found is when you look at nationally board certified veteran teachers, these are the 25, 28, 30-year veterans, and your goal as an administrator is to help them move from point A to point B to get better during the course of a year. One of the areas that they know their content, they're phenomenal in the classroom with kids. They got it going on. I mean, they're top notch. But there's always one area I think that most of them could prove in is the use of assessments. Um, and so that is one area you can always look at when working with veteran teachers, how to get them to assess not better, but assess differently so it gives them a truer picture of how students are doing. Um, so I really want you to think about that, the importance of assessment. It is not the end of the last thing you think about. The next thing is that as long as you understand assessment, you know assessment, as an administrator, you can work with teachers to do it better. Um, I was amazed at the quality of work in the SchoolNet assignment. That was just blew me away. That's the best assignment turned into me for SchoolNet that I've seen since I've been at Boldt. Y'all just rocked it. And it shows me that y'all are thinking as an administrator. I have honestly seen teachers who were level, were red. They were well below standard on their EVOS growth. Just change how they assessed. And they started using SchoolNet tests at a regular basis as check-ins. They started using that information to revise how they teach, to revise how they group students within the classroom with remediation. And they went from red to green and blue. It's that powerful a thing. So assessment is more than just giving grades. It's more than an end of course test. It's done every day by a good teacher. As formative, it's done summative. But I just want you to be aware of the breadth of assessment and the importance of assessment from an administrator. The last week, you're going to kind of look at conferences. Conferences are wonderful. I've seen where students have led conferences with parents, and that really puts power of information in those students' hands. Let me just stop back a minute. For those who came on the Tuesday night, my wife spoke a little bit about how she used SchoolNet tests and how she used data. One thing she does well, and I think a lot of teachers don't do well, is they don't let their students know what their data is. Teachers collect data and they keep it for themselves. It's important to your students know exactly where they are at all times. One of the things that we did with our math when I was at high school is we started keeping notebooks, math notebooks. The students had to keep them, and they were formalized, a certain order, every math student in the school. But one of the things they had was they had a data page or a data section, and they recorded everything. So if you'd walked in and said to a student, how are you doing in this class, they could tell you exactly how they did. If you think about road maps and I say we need to go to Raleigh, all of y'all have a pretty good idea how to get there. But if I say, let me back up a minute. My roommate in college, when he was in high school, he went to UNCW for 2 years, then he went to Carolina. When he was at UNCW, one of their friends at UNCW got married. And so they took him on his bachelor party. He got a little inebriated, and they drove him to just outside Chinquapin, North Carolina, dropped him on the side of the road with no wallet and no ID. And his wedding was that afternoon. And think about that. If you don't know where you're at, it's kind of hard to figure out where you're going. So he knew he had to get back to Wilmington, but it's kind of hard to figure out, do I need to go east, west, south, north, if I'm not sure where I'm at? So it took him a while to find out that he was near Chinquapin. Once he was found out he was near Chinquapin, that then gave him an idea. So assessment for students, they need to know where they're at all times because that tells you how close they're getting to where they need to be. It also is just powerful information for them. It can be used as motivation. It can be used to put a fire under their butts. So again, think about that. But this week, you're going to talk about conferences, and conferences are very powerful. I have a lot of teachers in my career who hated talking to parents. And they would resist it. They would lie to me. They keep conference logs. Oh, yeah, I met with them. No, you didn't. I talked to that parent. They never came out and saw you. Parents want the same thing that you want and the teacher wants. They want that child to be successful. And if you get that over on your conference very quickly, even when those parents are not very happy, say, look, we all want the exact same thing. Let's figure out how to get there. Conferences can be very powerful. So there is an assignment in that. There's part of a chapter in the book on that. The other thing then is this week is also the final exam. The final exam is going to be released on the 29th. So you have, in essence, hold on a second. Let me move some stuff around so I can see. So it's going to be released midnight the 29th. So you have the 30th, and it's due by midnight the 1st. All right. And it's a very short final. It's not, it's, I think, 4 questions. And they're short essay questions. But anyway, I'm rambling today. I don't know why. But let me get back to this course. So I've kind of told you about, as an administrator, the importance of this course. I've talked about the importance of assessment. Although a teacher, you think you know assessment, hopefully you'll learn a lot from this. There's always more you can learn about assessment. And I just want to say, I'm really impressed with y'all as a group. You blew this class away. And just good luck. Stay safe this summer. And if I can help you any way, I will. I still am planning to have office hours Tuesday night from 7 to 8. So if you want to join in and say, hey, that's fine. If you don't, that's totally fine. It's completely optional. But please do get assignments in, and I'll have everything graded over the next couple days. And just be safe. Thank you.